Shalom, Mishpachah. I just wanted to come to you all today and talk to you about the pros and the cons to living off-grid. So a lot of people will comment on our page or email me or what have you and ask, what does it take to live off-grid? Well, one of the pros to living off-grid is the fact that you don't have to worry about a lot of noise as far as like with neighbors and disturbances and things like that. I guess the con to the side of the quietness is that if you're the type of person that likes to have a lot of noise, or you thrive on personal or people connections, then it may not be the proper fit for you. Maybe just not right now, but maybe in the long run, as you build your faith and you grow, it may be an easier thing for you to do to live off-grid, away from society. But if you're a very interactive person, if you're a people person, then living off-grid can be a bit of a challenge. Another pro to living off-grid is that you're kind of like removed away from the world. So you tend to not get caught up in all the folly days, the hella days, You don't get caught up in trying to fit in with the world, and even your children won't get caught up in trying to fit in with a society per se. Which is a good thing, especially if you're Hebrew. This is excellent. We're supposed to be a set-apart people, so this is definitely a great thing. The con to that is if you have children that are inspired by, I guess, outside things like, getting out and meeting friends, and that's kind of like their go-to thing as a child, then it can make it a little bit difficult for that child. So I would suggest that you would, find a rec center that may be in the nearest town, or maybe try, and what we're going to try to do here is kind of build on the land things that the children can do here on the land. So, making sure that we have like a swimming pool, little obstacle course type things. I know we talked about building a tree house this summer. So just little things like that will actually help. And then, meeting righteous friends, whether, you as a parent are online and you find people that have children the same age as yours, to where you all can link up, or maybe they can have pen pals or do Skype or, FaceTime or something like that. That will help them to still have an interactive life, especially if you're homeschooling and they're not driving or having to go to school. Okay, what's another thing? Okay, another thing about living off grid, solar power. A lot of people ask about solar power and what we use to power the home. Well, the pro to that is that if there's like any type of issues with like the power companies, or if something does crazy happen, in the future, in the near future, with them shutting everything off grid, and you're not able to have power and things like that, that with solar power you'll still be able to have power in that sense. As long as the sun is shining, then you can have power. Now you may not be able to have internet if you're like with an internet company, but other than that, you will be able to have power as far as like lights and things like that. We also use propane, so that really, helps out as well. The only thing is that it can get expensive if you're running like fireplaces, like electronical, I guess, fireplaces, anything that pulls a lot of watts. If you have a dryer or anything like that's going to be an issue. So that's really what the con is to having solar power. Now, you can do wind power. You can do, make sure you have big enough batteries. Make sure you have enough solar panels to where you can build up power over time. I know some people do like a co-op type thing to where they do have electricity, But what they do is they kind of like offset it some type of way. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but it's like the electric company pays them for power or something crazy. I'm not sure. But anyway, that's something to think about and something to look into. Another pro to living off grid is definitely the peace. And I don't mean just like noise. I mean just like the peace of being able to go outside and breathe, and there's not a bunch of, you know, just cars driving by, or just a bunch of people that are going to want to interact with you, that you can actually go out there, you can worship, you can talk to the Most High. Your children don't have to worry about drive-by shootings. Things like that, you know, those are definitely perks. The safety. The con to living, you know, in the wilderness is definitely wildlife. Making sure that your children are safe, making sure that you have fencing and protection, weapons, and things like that are definitely a must when you're living off-grid. So that can kind of be a con if you're, you know, kind of like one of those worrying people. It could kind of make your nerves bad if your children are outside like playing and things like that, and you know, you have wildlife. So that's definitely, you know, a part of the con. One of the pros is that, you know, when you go out to the store, it's kind of like, you know, like a little field trip or like a trip for you to go out, because, you know, you live so far away that when you do go out, you know, you enjoy your time just, you know, getting the things that you need and then coming back, and then, you know, you're still not absorbing everything that the world tries to throw out to you. You know, you're still just going, getting what you need, and then coming back to, you know, your area, your sanctuary. And the con to that can be that, you know, gas, you know, having to drive out far, like 45 minutes to go to a grocery store. You know, if you do need something real quick, there's really not a convenience of that, although there's like a 15-minute like gas station and little small market that's like 15 minutes away from us. It still can be a little bit difficult, especially if you only have one car and then your spouse works. That can be a little issue. Now, if you're both home all the time, then it's a little bit better. But if you have a spouse that's working a job and you only have one car, that can kind of be difficult. So you have to make sure that you really plan things out, like your meals and your grocery store trips and things like that. You want to make sure that you have everything that you need, so that way you're not stuck 45 minutes away from, you know, transportation to be able to get somewhere. And then like the markets, you know, they sell kind of like GMO foods sometimes. So it's like quick stuff that you can pick up, and we don't eat that way. So it's really, really inconvenient if you don't have everything that you need. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Okay, the laundry situation. Because we do live off grid and it pulls a lot of power to run a dryer and a washer, we don't have those things. It's a little difficult for me per se, I would say, because I'm not used to doing things like that. And even when I did have a washing machine, like I was horrible about keeping up with laundry. I can definitely admit that. So, like, it's like everything else, like, I can clean, get done, but it's like laundry is my arch nemesis or something. But anyway, with that, it's still been an adjustment, you know. The pro to it is that your clothes feel amazing when you line dry them, and when you wash them, it has a very, like, fresh scent to them. But the con is that it does take a lot of upper body strength to wash the clothes. You have to make sure you have enough drying lines, and in the wintertime you can't hang your clothes outside a lot unless you have like a lot of sunlight, because the clothes will get like hard and they'll get kind of like a wet texture to them. Even if it's not raining, I guess like the moisture in the air will kind of get to the clothes. So it's just better to kind of weigh the pros and the cons to that, especially like with a dryer. Even if you don't have a washer and you wash by hand, if you could at least put them in the dryer, that may be able to help a little bit. Just depending. I'm just trying to throw out things that may be able to help, you know, someone that's thinking about moving off grid, to make that choice, whether you want to do that or not. We don't have a microwave because, again, that's a lot of watts, that's a lot of power. So when you do cook your meals, you do have to plan strategically how you're going to do it, because you don't want the food to be cold. So, you know, you need to kind of like plan out your day to make sure that you cook at a certain time so that the food can be hot for dinner. And things like that, especially if you need to use your oven, because the oven's gonna pull watts, a lot of watts. So you I use a lot of my stovetop to cook things, just because it doesn't pull as much power. I mean, I guess the pro to that is what I could say is that it's very healthy. We don't eat a lot of junk. There's no microwave, so you don't have to worry about like radiation or whatever that comes with using a microwave. We eat fresh things for the most part, so nothing that's like processed too bad. You know, we don't do a lot of that, just because we are cooking, you know, on the stove, and you know, so there's no like McDonald's and like food like that. We're eating like home cooked meals, and I have noticed that my children, praise Yahuwah, they haven't been sick at all since we've moved out here. They haven't had any issues, and we also do homeschool, so they're not getting exposed to a bunch of things. But I will tell you this, that the clean mountain air, the eating healthy, the no GMO food, the no microwave, things like that, we have literally seen a difference in our children's health. Just being obedient and just listening to the Ruach to tell us like what to do. Alright, so I think that's going to be pretty much it today. I think that's like about 5 things. If there's any other questions that you all have, please feel free to ask. Just comment below. Definitely share and like. I'm also thinking about starting another channel for my music. You all let me know what you think about that, and if you feel like it's more convenient, or if you like the fact that the Genesis Mishpachah has a variety of things that we offer on the channel. All right, well, shalom and many, many blessings to you all.